US and Russian officials are arriving in Saudi Arabia ahead of this week's high-stakes peace talks that will not include a Ukrainian delegation. It comes as European leaders held an emergency meeting in Paris after it emerged that they too weren't invited. They're insisting their countries must have a say in any peace talks in future. Ukraine's ambassador to Australia, Vasyl Myroshnychenko, joins us now. Ambassador, President Zelensky said that he will not accept any decision that is made without Ukraine's involvement. I mean, I get that, but if America and Russia strike a deal here, is Ukraine really in a position to refuse?
Well, it's Ukraine which is currently fighting, and America, which has been extremely supportive of Ukraine, certainly has contributed to Ukraine's defense, and probably we would not be able to survive without American support, without the European support. But at the same time, America is not at war with Russia. It is Russia which invaded Ukraine, and we are at war with Russia. So to achieve a robust peace, Ukraine must be involved. And I think President Zelensky was pretty clear at a Munich Security Conference where he emphasized it and said nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine, but also nothing about Europe without Europe, because we are talking about security in Europe, and it's clearly European countries must be involved in this.
So I totally understand that argument, but you just said yourself, if America pulls its support, I mean, you're in big trouble. So if that's what Donald Trump does, if he says, I've struck this deal with Russia, we're going to pull your support if you don't accept it. I mean, do you have a plan for that sort of scenario?
Well, that's the reason why President Macron has convened a meeting of the European leaders in Paris on Monday, and they were discussing, and it also includes EU plus Britain, discussing how they will continue supporting Ukraine, what should be the involvement. But certainly, I believe when we're convinced that for any security in Europe, it must be America, Europe, and involved together. And only through strengths that we can talk to Russia. Because at this stage, we need to put more pressure on Russia, because this is the only language Russia understands. And for us, we need some security guarantees to have this war over.
Does the apparent closeness of Trump and Putin worry you?
They have started, they had a conversation, they had a 19-minute conversation. As you know, President Trump called Zelensky after that. They had a long 60-minute conversation as well. There have been many meetings in Munich between our leaders, and there is continuous discussions and dialogue happening. We believe it's in American interest to make sure that Russia is not rewarded for its aggression in Ukraine, because if might is right, that emboldens other authoritarian leaders to do the same thing. And that really is opening up a Pandora box of those who have the strengths, who have nuclear weapons, to actually go and change borders by force. And I think this should be of great concern to Australia, as well as any other free, democratic country in the world, because we're all of a sudden forgetting about the values we're all fighting for. I just have to remind you, we are fighting for our sovereignty, we're fighting for democracy, we're fighting for human rights, we are fighting for the UN Charter, which Russia has broken. Right? What we are fighting for is something which is in the interest of the democratic world. And actually rewarding Russia for their aggression will send a very strong negative signal to all other authoritarian leaders.
Ambassador, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.